After working on the rear, it's now time to address the front of the engine. Here's a recap. We cleaned the rear side of the engine and we installed the rear main seal, including the retaining plate. And remember, there was a little bit of drama related to that. Anyway, right now we are going to secure the engine on the engine stand. Due to the nature of the work that we are about to do, it is very preferable that the engine is not suspended in front or above us. But how about I just switch to the video and then I'll explain what I was trying to do.
Alright, so let's talk about what's about to happen next. At this point, I will remove the intake manifold, remove all these tools from up here as well. Set the intake manifold off to the side so that when I get to the point where I'll be turning this, it's not too heavy, it's not too top heavy. And actually, I have a feeling that if I set the camera down, and when I remove the intake manifold, you'll see it just come up. The engine stand might stop cantilevering as aggressively as it is right now. Trash. And what it did for the intake manifold, I knew for certain that I didn't want to bolt everything down, so what I did is I just came and bolted these two bolts in the back. Just this one here and this one here, and those are strong enough to keep it there. So I guess I had the foresight to not tighten them too tightly either. So that's cool. Yeah, just one side, huh? Yeah, what was the deal with this, man? Okay, so I do have a spot where take time and cover intake manifold. There you go. I do have, I'll open that bag later. But so right now that's what I'm doing. So I'll set the camera down and that's what you'll see me doing. Remove the intake manifold, remove the pulley. I'll explain what's going to happen here. Typically, I ended up buying that expensive crank ring gear stopper, the one that you put in the oil pan access panel, this one here, to lock your flywheel or your ring gear. Obviously, no oil pan, no ring gear. I'll do it the old school style. The old school style says that you jam a block of wood in your crank over there, since your oil pan is out, and then that locks your crank and you can turn it, and once I turn it I'll be able to remove the crank pulley. So that's another thing that I'll just do, and hopefully you follow along as to what I'm doing. I wanted to turn the engine, but I figured let me show off what we have here before turning it over. So valve covers, head till here. This is your valley. That anything could happen really. Could have a rat's nest. What did I want to say? Gnat's rest. Well, that too. But your coolant tubes come from here, side, thermostat area, up the top, then the intake manifold goes over it. Then these over here, this is where the knock sensors go. So once the first time I opened it, I blocked these. Yeah, okay, good. Just some paper towels. So let's turn it, I guess. Am I ready to do it? Yeah. All I wanted to do was just show. Oh, valve cover bolts, great. Okay. So here we are. What's that? Oh, I know what the fluid is. It's all the B12 chem tool cleaner that I've been using to clean the timing area. So this is what I was saying. I'll just jam a piece of wood here, lock the engine, and they'll be able to turn that. And then guys, remember the other thing I talked about in the other video, in some of my other videos? This is going to be changed because this is the oil pickup tube that goes to the JDM engine, or rather the 2003 and 4 M45 engine. I'll be using the deeper oil pan, so I'm going to need a deeper pickup tube as well. And here's an example of that. This one here. Notice this one's got a leg just because of how long it is. This one does not have a second leg, so to say. So those are the things I'll be doing. For now, I just want to jam the crank, remove the crank pulley bolt, and then work on the timing cover. All right, cool. So why wood? It's pretty simple. Something that will crush, something that will give when this the metal pieces go against it, rather than metal. Metal might be a stronger metal than these, so you end up damaging your crank. It's normal rotation of this engine this way. Okay, now I can turn it the other way. I realize I'm gonna have to lift it all the way up just because that's how I'll be working on it. Unless I can find a way to lock it right now, but it's not necessary. Let's just go for it. Great. It's usually a risk of the job, I guess. Well, I guess I didn't have to do it too hard. It's already turned. So what I'm about to do is remove the spacer for the crankshaft pulley. And typically what I use is just valve cover bolts if it refuses to come out. M6 by 1. Once you do that, you could probably just course it out. Okay, well, it's coming out, but I'd wanted to show you the other style, or what I usually end up doing. So usually when I do this, there is a timing cover, so there's a little more protection, but in this case I'll just do this. Perfect. And out it goes. Doesn't look too pretty, but what's new? We kind of knew that about this engine, right? Man, this engine is gonna need quite some oil service. This one doesn't look too clean either. I do have some spares. It's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. Just use one of my other spare spacers, and then I'll clean this one later. Let me bring it a little closer. So here's the problem. Just like I was showing in the rear, you do have a ring of dirt, and it hasn't grooved. It's not too old an engine, so it hasn't. Well, never mind. There is a groove over here. But when you put the front timing cover, there's only one timing cover for this engine. But when you put the timing cover on the front and you put the front oil crank seal, you need to space it in such a way that I like to space it that it's not sitting in the same groove that the old one was sitting on. And this one seems like it's been through quite a hard life. So I'll bring my spares out and we'll pick something better from there, hopefully. So here they are. Here are the rest of my spares. See, they look a little better, wouldn't you say? Look at this one here. This is the one that I just removed from the engine. I'll set it up to the side. Well, granted, I haven't cleaned it as much as I cleaned the others, but still, you know. There you go. These are pretty good. Look at that one. This one is really, really good. I might end up using this one here. Or did I clean it myself? I can't remember. Like, did I don't think I sanded it. That wouldn't be a good move at all. This is an old front crank seal. What happened to this one? I guess I just had to push it out. So these ones get damaged when you pull them out. There's like no way to save it. See that ring in there? The spring, yeah. Otherwise, didn't really get any use. Look at the inside surface. Looks pretty clean. So when you install it, you could install this first, then install the seal over. If you lube it enough, it'll go like that. Or you could just have the timing cover stationary and then insert this. It's whatever you like, really, whatever you prefer. I like the second method myself. So that's why I want to install the timing cover. Usually I don't remove the timing cover, but it had a leak somewhere and I just wasn't comfortable patching it up and trying to ignore it. One of the reasons is that this is a high profile client I'm assembling this engine for. And two, I'm just like that. No matter who would have come through, you try to do the best by whoever it is that trusts you to do the service, right? That's just my policy. Okay, so I'll be thinking about this for a little while, just trying to decide which one I want to use. But meanwhile, I'll put the oil pan underneath and just spray it again because it needs cleaning since I turned it. Okay, so I had to clean the timing, the mating surfaces of the timing cover again, just because things had gotten wet and not dry anymore. This is the packing list of the stuff that I bought right here, and I went through, I decided I wanted to label things just to have an idea, because I've mentioned this, the timing cover in this engine, the timing cover usually mates with three O-rings. There's one over here, right under the water pump. There's another one here, and there's another one here. So three onto the one onto the block, two onto the heads. And then you also have two behind the VTC covers, a variable, what's a VTC? Variable timing control, I think. VTC, anyway, yeah. It's a little late. I've been up a little too long. Anyway, so what I want to do is go up here. Well, I'll bring him down. but I'm gonna put RTV around this timing cover, this one here, and once I do that, all you'll see is me setting it on there. You have dowel pins, 3 of them or 2 of them. You have 1 over here to guide me. You have 2 over here to guide me. I thought there was a 3rd one somewhere. Maybe just 2. Well, yeah. Anyway, once you have this one and this one mated, you shouldn't really screw anything else up. But so that's what I'll be doing. This one will be a little more complicated. I need to be way more alert, you know, make sure I set it on as evenly as possible. And then once it's on there, get the bolts. When it comes to the bolts, do you guys remember this? Yeah. This is what we're getting. This is where it's gonna come in handy. I had this drawing of the timing cover where everything goes, everything is supposed to go, and should be all fine and dandy. Sorry, I was looking at something else. But yeah, just set them all there and keep moving. These ones here, this one here, and then this one here as well. They're the ones that are inside, so they go before the VTC covers go on. Okay, I'll set this down and keep doing my RTV thing, and then we'll pick it up when I'm installing it, or rather when it's already on there. First thing I'm going to do is install those O-rings. I cleaned it up, but I'm going to do it yet again. Remember, Vaseline is your friend. Well, my friend. I said Vaseline is your friend in the garage. Okay. So let's cut these open. Kind of self-explanatory as to where what goes where. I'll wipe my hands, my gloves. They're not dirty, they're just stained. But still, you know. I've always said this. I don't even want to guess if there's an O-ring that would work, you know, a standard O-ring, because I do have the red cases that you buy from auto parts stores with a bunch of O-rings. But when it comes to Infiniti, or rather when it comes to this engine and oil systems, I don't play at all. I'd rather make sure that I bought the right O-ring that's got the right tolerances and durability, hardness, all that, you know. Something that is actually designed for the system. Am I overpaying for some of these O-rings? Maybe. But, you know, for the peace of mind, I'll do it. Do it every day and twice on Sunday. Okay, so here we are. I just lube this thing up so that it holds itself. Sometimes you lube for, well, sometimes you apply it for lubrication. Sometimes you apply it for adhesion. Sounds a little backwards, but yeah. Okay, so there's a little bit of a smear there. What I'm gonna do is just wipe around it because I know that's where the RTV is supposed to go. I don't want the RTV to fight for adhesion with Vaseline. Okay, so 3 of them on there. Wipe. Was a little generous with the Vaseline on this one. I can see it inside the hole. So I'll just wipe around it a little bit. Okay. At this point, that part's done. We're almost ready. Almost. So two things. Let's zoom out a little bit. Remember these two filters? I did touch on them a little bit. These two filters over here, I touched on them. These are the ones that end up mating with this surface over here, those O-rings that I put in there. So you want to make sure you remember to reinstall them on your timing cover, which it's possible I could have forgotten. I mean, it's just, I just remembered how many mating surfaces I needed. So before doing, before putting them, before applying RTV, I just go ahead and install these back in the holes. Again, I will, they're pretty hard to pull out, so yeah, I don't need any glue for these. Just push them in here and they just sit right in place. Yeah, they're fine, they're not gonna jump out or anything. So good. At this point, what's left is just to go ahead and apply RTV in the timing cover. I still have this open one here, but I'll play safe and just get another one handy in case I run out, which I might. So I'll be ready to just jump on it and keep moving. Okay? Alright, so there's no clean way to start this out. I'll just get moving. Actually, no, this is gonna hurt. So let me take it to the workbench. As I said, I'm going to play it safe and have another one close by. So this is it. So let me just open it. I know I'm going to need it. These are the things you don't want to fumble with when you're in the process of getting the work done. Your RTV is curing while you're just fighting these things. Okay, that's the best way to go. Remove the top stuff, the semi-cured stuff. Yeah. Okay, now let's go. Don't want to smear anything, so I guess I should start here. Whoa, huge air pocket. Okay, close to the bottom, but it started hurting my hand, so I'll switch over to the other one. Another air pocket. So my advice, don't get any fast setting stuff, especially for the timing cover. Got a lot of ground to cover. Almost there, guys, almost there. Okay, there it is, all the way to the end. Let's stick this thing on. Okay. Hopefully you still have some time working my grace period. I have to pull this glove because it's full of RTV. Yuck, I've never tasted them. Nasty. Okay. O-ring, O-ring, O-ring. Filter, filter. Let's do this. going to use washers. These ones usually hold the bracket for the alternator. It's just a temporary thing. I want them to put some clamping force down onto the timing cover as well. Okay. So all these things take torque of timing cover, 10 foot-pounds. So it's not that big, but gotta get your stuff right. Okay, about 30 of them, starting here. Click. Okay, 10 foot-pounds for all the 10mm bolts. I get my two 12mm ones. There you go. Okay, let's talk about this. How was this experience? Interesting. There was a little bit of a smear here. Got me a little worried at first. But it's the fact that it's smeared out is good to me. It tells me it made it and then some, So I was able to took a pick in there and I could see the RTV. So there you go. It's smeared on the inside. So as long as it smears on the inside, I'm fine. It's sealing the inside from having to come out, if that makes sense. So I'm good with that. And I could just see from how it's smeared on the visible parts that I made a good connection. I'm not too worried again. Not terribly worried about it. I'll check the bottom in a little bit. But right now, let me just keep going around. So the funny thing about this is, okay, what am I going to do right now if I notice that I do have an incomplete area? What am I going to do about it? So yeah, looks good. I mean, it's dripping at the bottom, right? So we did well on both sides. That's good. Okay, keep an eye. Remember, this was an oil pump. I didn't really call it out, but that's an oil pump over there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm cheap. The one I was wiping my RTV fingers on, that's what I'm going to use at the bottom. Man, I'm almost done with this RTV business. Make sure it is good. Make sure I didn't smear it in the wrong places. Nah, we're fine. We are fine. Good. Alright, so what I talked about was I'm going to let that cure overnight. And then when I come to deal with the oil pan tomorrow morning, everything should be good and ready to go, right? Right now, just let everything cure the way it's supposed to be and come back in. Let's revisit this in the morning. I'll tie everything up, honestly. We do have the VTC covers. I will bring that up. I think that's going to be a cool video for a later time. For now, let me wrap up what I've got going so far, and then everything else will be more of a metal gasket type deal, rubber gasket type deal, so it's going to be pretty easy, pretty cool to do. That's good for now, guys. So I went ahead and did another inspection of the area, and I'm pretty satisfied. So while we're still playing with Gasket Maker, how about I go ahead and just put the VTC covers on before those two tubes dry up, right? that's what I'll do. So here they are the part numbers for these areas over here. 15066, 6N204. Well, when I was talking about overpaying for seals, I might have, I don't know. At least I provided the part number, so if anyone's curious about it, you can just check. Again, I know it doesn't look too pretty, but it's not dirty, it's just stained on the contact surfaces. Okay, this time, again, some oil, some petroleum jelly, some Vaseline, and in this case it's just there for adhesion. It's gonna stick there. Whoa, don't drop. Okay, perfect. Those are on there. You know what the next part is, right? It's fun. Putting these on there and set them on. So what I need to do is make sure I have the bolts close by. Okay, I found all the bolts finally. It's pretty important that you locate your bolts. Okay, let's go crazy here. Dowel pin, so aim for those. I'll tell you, the good thing about these, the VTC covers, is that this part right here goes right into the camshaft. So it's not too much guessing or screwing up. This one here, you've got two dowel pins as well, down here and up here. And as I said, as long as you get this in the camshaft, it kind of wants to stay aligned. So that's that. That really helped me the first time. There it is. Oh well, there's one more. Down there. So let's get that. This is the plate that goes there. I'm gonna hit it with another clean just to be safe. I guess I should have said what that plate is for. This plate is for the tensioner. I'm gonna bring the camera down here. Now, just take it from me. It's for the tensioner for the right bank. The left bank tensioner is right here. So once you remove the VTC cover, you can usually see the tensioner right there. You can refer to the other pictures that I have of the VTC removal job, and they'll tell you. Okay, so these are 10s as well. Here's a fun part. How do you hold this thing, huh? Oh, we got it, don't you worry. This one here almost is to your benefit to have your studs as you go in. So I'll put one, because there's no dowel pin to hold it for you. And then use a power tool this time. I see it squeezing out of all three, well, all three lines, joints, surfaces, so that's good. Tells me at least it's sealed, you know. I'm gonna redo this one, honestly. I don't like it. Too close to the interior surface. I miscalculated it, so I'm gonna redo that. Just basically make it thicker. That's all. Yeah, see? The inside is just still all clear. Didn't get touched at all. Should have been way further on the perimeter. So when you're doing this one, go long, go wide. I've always tried to keep a simple philosophy when I make my videos. When I do something and I run into an issue, I try to show you. If I make a mistake, I tell you the mistake I made. Because I feel like this is one of those situations. If you didn't know to look for this, if for whatever reason you were looking at your tensioners, and you took this out and you put it back on and just didn't quite get there, you might end up having a bad day, you know? Then you get a leak later. So I feel like it's of value to be honest, open, semi-vulnerable in a way. You know, just talk about the issues we're having. Okay, take two. Let's see how this one shakes out this time. That's more like it. It smeared way further. You know, if they take you out and ask you, in life, do you have any regrets? I'm gonna say, yeah. Should have put the cover on before putting the timing cover. Then I could look at it from the backside and see how well it is done. Anyway, live and learn. It's not such a difficult one to redo, and it's not, you know, I mean, it sucks like it's pretty much at the bottom. So if you have to redo something, you know, or if the seal is compromised, you're leaking from your lowest point, but it's not such a difficult one to redo. So timing cover bolts are pretty much 9 to 10 foot-pounds. The spec is actually given in inch-pounds, but I only have a foot-pound and it starts at 10, so. And I'm only doing this, honestly, for show. I'm bragging, but I'm pretty well calibrated. When it comes to the small bolts, you can usually know. You know, you break enough bolts in your life, you can usually know when to stop. But yeah, I'm pretty well calibrated for the torque ratings. I can usually tell, you know, this is good enough right here, let's stop. But no, this is good, I like that. The smear is way more. And so that's the other thing. You have to be open enough to look back at your work, you know, look back at your work and say, okay, I know I follow the rules, however, what does it look like? You know, you shouldn't be the kind of person who's like, well, I did what I was supposed to do, so screw that, I don't really care how it turned out, or I guess it's a little preachy. This is what I'm saying. Do a task, but you should have some self-discipline or self-motivation to actually go back and say, well, I was not just doing a task. This is the goal I intended to achieve. I intended to seal it. And how do I know I seal that? By having a pretty good smear, a huge glob of RTV smearing out all around it. And that tells me that we are perfected. So I think now I can really say it without jinxing myself. This is it for all the RTV surfaces. The last one is going to be the oil pan from the bottom. And for me, I think this is good because I still have air circulation from the bottom. So it should help things cure a lot faster. Otherwise, I think I'm good. I think I'm done. This is it.
At this point, I'm just doing a little bit of cleaning up and tidying up in readiness for the next task, which should be installing the oil pan. Why won't I do it right now? Well, I defer to that principle I've mentioned a few times. I just don't like tightening too many wet pieces. But I'll tell you this, in the past, I was once in a pinch and cramped for time, and I tightened everything up with an RTV sealant still wet. I actually poured engine oil into the crankcase. Nothing bad came out of that, but I just prefer not to do things that way. So, I'll catch you guys in the next episode and we'll talk more about such things.